Hi everybody, I'm Wayne Davies from Spectrum Economics, and I feel just a little bit sad to have to make this video, but I kind of feel it's a little bit necessary as well. I've been on Dtube now for well over a year. I've got quite a number of videos on there. I got going pretty much almost the minute that it started, because I joined Steam in June of 2017. I can't quite remember when Dtube started up, but that was a little bit after that, and I basically hopped straight onto Dtube. And I've been using YouTube as kind of like a backup service, so what I do is I upload to Dtube, and that would then link into Steemit. I have my post. Now I generally would have like a comment where I would put the YouTube equivalent in there, and I'm kind of glad that I did that now, because I've got a number of problems with Dtube and as to why I'm not going to be using it anymore. First up, the thing I want to talk about, and probably the biggest issue, there's a number of issues I want to talk about, but the biggest one being, I think, the removal of videos, or whatever they're doing to the videos that prevents them from playing. You click on it and it just, you know, the swirly thing would go around, whatever the loading thing, so it looks like the video isn't there. And I think that's partly because there's a lot of traffic going to these videos, and the way the site's set up, because you got the 7-day payout. But for me, a lot of my videos, you know, I like to share them quite a long time after I make them, because a lot of them are still relevant. It's not like, you know, news stories where, you know, maybe a week later it's not as relevant before. And I kind of need to have those videos running, and if that's not the case on Dtube, then it has far less value to me. So I feel kind of happy I've got the YouTube back up to that, but I still don't want to be sharing posts, because unlike YouTube, you'd have your video and then you'd have a description that is kind of a little bit hidden away. I think some devices can't even see that. You view the video on Steemit, or SteamPeak, or VisiCog, or whatever, you get the full description as well that explains a little bit. And I generally like to put a bit of text around what I'm saying in the video, just to be a quick summary, and sometimes just to point out the key points you want to take away from the video. So, you know, it adds that bit of flexibility. So that's why I like to use Steemit, and I like to have the video in there as well. And I've been using Dtube mostly, so considering a lot of all these videos aren't working anymore, I'm afraid that that doesn't work very well for me, and that's possibly, or definitely is actually the #1 reason why I'm going to be moving away from Dtube. There's several other reasons as well, and another one relates to the beneficiary rewards. And many of you know that Dtube had 25% beneficiary rewards, and that was very, very poorly advertised, in a sense that people, you know, think they're just taking 25% of their post benefits away. And that's quite steep, and especially if you're using bots. I'm not a bot user myself, but it still does take quite a cut out of it. And what they did do was actually reasonably generous, because actually redistributing, I don't know how much of that was being redistributed back to curators. And it wasn't really advertised, and I think that kind of hurt their brand as well. And in the sense, if it wasn't well advertised, I'm not going to get that additional traffic from people getting extra curation rewards from upvoting my content. So in a sense, because of that poor advertising, it hasn't worked particularly well for me. And they're currently down to still 10% beneficiary rewards, which is more reasonable, but there's no chance of getting any extra traffic, because I'm not aware of them actually giving out any additional benefits to people that upvote them. So I might as well just share my YouTube video, not have to pay the 10% to Dtube. Instead, I'd probably rather pay 5%, I think it is, to Steam Plus, because I want to support what those guys are doing as well in terms of trying to improve Steemit. So that is my second point. My third point, and this one is a little disappointing, and this relates to fairly unprofessional behaviour and conduct by some of the members of the Dtube team, in terms of, you know, being rude to people, being disrespectful, saying quite nasty comments, and really not addressing certain things when people raise certain problems and stuff. They get met with quite nasty responses, and, you know, if you follow some of the Dtube team members, you'll see that in their comments and remarks and the way that they've been handling people. They're very unprofessional, and if you're unprofessional in how you engage with people, then, you know, you're going to be unprofessional in a lot of other areas, and I think that's beginning to show with their website as a whole. And that takes me now to my next point, and that is actually, what's my next point? The overall quality of the actual website itself. I know that Dtube is new, but the number of improvements in usability has been fairly limited, and sometimes videos can be very hard to upload. And what I do now is I upload to YouTube, then I download the MP4 version from YouTube, which is a more compressed file, which then can be uploaded to DTube. It's quite a process around that. And not a lot of people, well, not everybody actually has a YouTube account. Some people want to go straight to DTube. You understand that. You know, you'd want to have some people that have content that is exclusive to DTube, that adds value to it. Whereas people that have a YouTube and DTube, there's a little bit less value because people can see that same content on YouTube as well. So if you want to encourage more people to join DTube without having a YouTube account, then ideally you need to make it easier for people to upvote videos. I'm not entirely sure what the formats are that are accepted, but I know the MP4 version that you get off of YouTube works pretty well. I've had a number of others, formats that have not worked, and sometimes you don't even know that it's working because you don't get the error messages and things like that. That's something that they need to improve on, and I think a lot of people are still having that issue. So that's, you know, something you would expect. It's fairly obvious, and it's quite sad that that hasn't been addressed. And also the layout of DTube as well hasn't changed an awful lot. And you compare that with something like YouTube, where you've got lots of different statistics and stuff and numbers in terms of your viewers and where they're coming from and all sorts of stuff. YouTube also has, I think, got different folders. What do they call that now? They've got different lists, playlists they call it, where you can organise your content. You don't get that same kind of thing with DTube. So, understandably, you know, it takes a while to develop, but you think they would be moving a little bit faster on that. Considering they, you know, getting, what, 10% of people's payouts, you'd be able to use some of that money to further their development. As well, of course, the money they're getting from Steam Inc. I think they've got a delegation of about 2 million Steams. That's quite a bit of money. And using that is how you get people in, isn't it? You know, you can upvote people's content. And that takes me to the final point. And this is going to get people a little bit upset. I'm not going to immediately point the finger and say, hey, you're showing favoritism to particular people, but there's a certain pattern that certain users are getting a lot of upvotes and quite high upvotes from DTube. And myself, I got 1 upvote this year. I think it's only 1. I think I got about 5 last year. I got more, but it seems very unusual for me to get upvotes now from DTube. So I was wondering, you know, what kind of going on there. So I did a little bit of digging, and I've picked up a bit of information. As you can see here, we've got, I think it's over a period of 14 days, the users that they upvote, and also over 30 days. As you can see, the numbers don't vary a lot, and that indicates that they're pretty much upvoting the same people all the time. Though that's just an indication of that. You can see I think it's about an extra 108 accounts were upvoted over a period of 16 days. That's actually pretty low when you're considering you got 2 million delegated Steam power. So even an upvote of, what, 5% is going to be fairly large. And for 1 full upvote, what is that? That's 20. And you've got how many upvotes a day? About 10 full upvotes. So 20 times 10, that's 200 upvotes a day that you can have. Over a week, you've got over 1,000, haven't you? Over 2,000. So it makes you wonder why accounts are not getting upvoted. And I had to dig a little bit deeper, and I've looked at, I think it's what we call Steam Friends, by the Magic Monk, and this actually gives you the number of upvotes people have received. As you can see here, these top like 20 accounts, they're getting a ton of upvotes from DTube. So I just picked the top 4, and as you look here, the numbers are massive. The actual figures are huge. I've actually got this here, hold on. So you see it up on the screen? You see it up on the screen? I'm actually clicking mine, I actually have it on the screen in front of me. Here we go. So you're seeing like over $10,000 worth of upvotes from DTube, which is massive for some of these users compared to what they're getting else from other people, other users. So it's a lot of money people are getting there. And I'm not pointing the finger and saying, hey, you know, there's some conspiracy, these people are all working together. It could be that, or it could be the fact that maybe DTube has just picked up on a few reasonably popular accounts and just auto-voting them all the way, instead of actually working to build an audience. And it's critical that you draw people in, and providing them even with $5 upvotes is quite a bit. It's quite a lot for some people. Instead of hitting them with $20 upvotes, you can have a lot of $5 upvotes, and then just the same accounts again and again and again. It's, you know, you could upvote regular accounts, maybe not quite as regular as they're doing now, but with smaller upvotes, and use that voting power to bring more people in. I find it quite shocking that that's the approach they're taking, and I'm not sure whether the accounts they're upvoting also represent what the people want to see either. So yeah, I find that all very, very disappointing. anyway, I don't want to end it on such a negative note, as in, you know, you're throwing things out there at DTube. I want you guys, obviously, to do a better job in the future. Like I say, on a positive note, I noticed the people that they do select are not people that are using bid bots, which is something, because these people generally are not getting the same level of exposure as people that are using bid bots to bid up their content. So it is helping those out, and I think we've got one person that was a reseller. He used bid bots for a while and he stopped doing that now. So that's definitely a positive in that side of things. But then again though, if you have bid bot your stuff, maybe you, I don't know, bought a vote for like $40 or whatever, and then they're taking 10% out, you're probably going to lose money on your posts. So it kind of needs a bit of a balance in it, because at the moment most people are using bid bots from what I can see, to a certain extent, even if it's just a small bit. So a 10% cut with the tight ROIs, well, and you know, with very little Steam power out there, could result in people losing money. So it's something that needs to bear in mind. But as like I mentioned though, I'm all in favour of supporting guys that don't use bid bots. So I'd say that's a positive of getting out of DTube. So for me, what are my next steps? What I'm going to be doing? So I'm going to be using YouTube, as I mentioned earlier. So I have been using YouTube all along, but that has not been my primary website for uploading videos. That's been a secondary one that I've been putting in the comments. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be putting the YouTube video in the actual post, and I will not be putting anything on DTube until basically they sort out their issues. And I might have to go back and dig up a lot of my old posts and actually edit them. That's right, you can actually edit your old posts now. After Hardfork 20, you can go to SteamPeak. I don't think Steam has it. I know SteamPeak has it, where you can actually edit your posts. So I can go back and change some of them. And some of them I have actually. I found some of my links weren't working in some of my older posts. I've already gone in and edited those. So I'm going to do with my DTube videos, I'm going to go in, take out the link to DTube, place the link to YouTube, so that video now gets placed in the post itself. So if I want to share that post with people externally, they can come and watch my video and I can still attract people to Steam it. So basically that's the aim of it, is to attract people to Steam it, or Busy.org or SteamPeak or whatever the case is, so they can see what content we've got here, rather than sending them somewhere and saying, hey, I can't see your video, because that doesn't look good for the platform, any of our platforms on the Steam blockchain. So if we want to promote it, we need to have something that's functioning. And I hope that DTube can work around there. I know that it's expensive storage and all that. Videos are very large files. I can understand that side of things. So, but they've got to figure out something, you know, how to bring in more revenue. YouTube use advertising. That's probably going to be a way that DTube should consider doing that. I know DLive didn't seem to have that problem, from what I've heard. Again, I'm not exactly sure what kind of budgets they had, but they had a similar amount of Steam power, so, you know, who knows. But anyway, I wish DTube all the best, and thank you for the one upvote you gave me this year. It was something like $20 or whatever, it wasn't bad. I would rather have had 4 smaller ones, or more would have been nicer, but anyway. Thanks for that anyway, guys, and, you know, wish you all the best, and, hey, you know, if you get things going again, I could come back. Or the other option is there's going to be another video service on the blockchain with Steam that I can use instead. So, you know, there's always going to be competition. So anyway, best of luck, and yeah, I'll be seeing you around. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I suggest you give me a like and subscribe. If you're watching this on Steemit, give me an upvote for this video, a re-steam, or a follow. I think it's yes, a follow. So anyway, thank you for watching the video, and I'll be seeing more of you.
Na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye. Na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye. Bye bye, Bye Dtube.